Alright, so we're going to go ahead and figure out how to write the equation given the vertices and the foci. Alright, so here, if I'm given the vertices and the foci, I'm going to do the same thing I did just in the last one, where I'm not going to do this with graphing. I'll do this one with graphing. So, actually, let me go ahead and move that out of the way then. Put that down. No, don't even need it. Alright, so for this one right here, what I'm going to do, I have to find the difference between the one that's changing. So for my vertices, or 2a, that's going to get me 15 minus 5. So 2a is going to equal 10. That means a is going to equal 5, and a squared equals 25. The reason for this, again, is because if these are my vertices, these are changing on only one point. They're on the same axis, so they're staying the same on my x's, and the y's are changing. So it means that I'm going to have a vertical ellipse, because that way, if I'm thinking about it this way, every single coordinate point along my y is changing, but I'm on the same point here for my x. So what I'm trying to do is just find out how long of a distance it is between start and finish. So that's why I'm subtracting here. All right, now here, I'm going to figure out how far apart I am from my foci. So that's going to get me to C, because remember, foci are always C. So I'm going to go from 14 to 6, and 14 minus 6 is going to get me 8. So 2a equals 8, and that means that a is going to equal 4, and a squared, oh, I keep doing that. It's 11:19 at night. I am tired. It's going to get me 2c is going to equal 8. And so then c is going to equal 4, and c squared equals 16. All right. So now the whole thing is that I need to find h, k, a squared, and b squared. Well, I've got a squared. I can look at this and I can figure out what h is, but I have no idea what k is. So my center is at 5 something. So I need to find the difference between these. If I was to add them up, find the midpoint. So your midpoint formula, you've got x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. That's what you're doing to find your midpoints here. So I'm going to take my vertices and I'm going to go, hey, this is going to be my y1 and this is my y2. Here's my x1 and here's my x2. So if I was to take that information and plug that into this equation, I would have 5 plus 5 divided by 2, and 15 plus 5 divided by 2. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 15 plus 5 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So there's my center, 5 and 10. All right. I still have to find my covertices because I have to figure out what b squared is. So now I have h, k, and a squared. I just need b squared. So in order to do that, I have the equation of c squared equals a squared minus b squared. I'm going to use this with the information I have here. I have a squared and c squared, so I'm going to solve for b squared. So I'm going to go ahead and rearrange this equation here. If I'm going to rearrange and solve for b squared, I need to get this all by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and add b squared over here to this side just because that's going to make it positive and that's going to get rid of that negative sign. So now I have b squared plus c squared equals a squared. Subtract c squared to both sides, so then I have b squared equals a squared minus c squared. So now I have the equation to solve for b squared. So now I'm going to go, okay, so b squared equals 25 minus 16. That's my a squared, that's my c squared. So I'm just using this equation right here. So 25 minus 16 is going to get me 9. So that means b squared equals 9. I don't need to worry about square rooting it or anything because I need b squared. So I have that now. So now I can go ahead and figure out my whole equation. So I know I've got x minus h, where h here is 5 squared, plus y minus k, where that's 10 squared, equals 1. And now I got to figure out a squared and b squared, where they go. Well, remember at the beginning here I said that this was vertical because this is changing on my y-axis here. Every coordinate along my y is changing. So my vertices, which are my longest axis, are changing on the y's. So remember, if I'm going backwards, if I was to go ahead and put my vertices underneath the y, so I'd have 25 here, and then I would have 9 here because that's my b squared. The 25 is showing me that I'm going up and down 5. And here, this is showing me that I'm going right and left 3. So that only makes sense that the bigger number's underneath my y because that's the one that's changing. Again, if you struggle with going from this to this, but you have no problem graphing given something, check your answer. Go ahead, just take whatever you have, throw it on a graph, and make sure that your points match what you started with. If you can go ahead and get all your points that you started with, you're good. Okay? This one right here I'll do by graphing, because again, not everybody understands things the same way. So I'm going to go ahead and graph. I've got my vertices at 8, negative 5, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 8, negative 5, and negative 2, negative 5. So negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and then my foci are at 6, negative 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 5, and 0, negative 5. All right, so you can see right here that they are on a straight line. So this is why we have a harder time finding the equation, because I have to figure out what the b squared is. I can easily go ahead and look at this and figure out what my center is by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So from one vertex to another, it's 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, halfway in between. I could have also done the same thing with my foci, gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If there's 6 between here, halfway between is 3. So here's my center, so I already know that. Center. And that's going to be at positive 3, negative 5. So h, k, a squared, b squared. I have both of these. I need to figure out a squared and b squared. So in order to figure out a squared, I'm going to use my vertices right here, because this is going to get me 2a. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just like we did to get the center. So from vertex to vertex, I've got 10. I could also go from vertex to center and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would get me my A, because remember, your A is the length from your center to your vertex. So then that means A squared equals 25. Okay, so now we got A squared. Now we got to figure out B squared. But we can't do that until we figure out the foci and get our C squared. So I can look right here and go 1, 2, 3. So from my center to my foci, I've got 1, 2, 3. So that means that C is 3. Or I could do from focus to focus and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2C would be 6. However you want to do it. I just have to recognize that I need C squared. So C squared, if C is 3, is going to be 9. All right. So now we're going to use that equation that we had earlier where it was b squared equals a squared minus c squared. And I'm going to go ahead and plug this information in for it. So if I've got b squared equals 25 minus 9, that gives me b squared equals 16. So now I've got all the information I need for my equation. So x minus h, so 3 squared, plus y minus k, negative 5, so plus 5 squared, equals 1. We already can see visually right here, because my vertices and foci are on the longest axis, and I'm going from side to side. I'm not going top to bottom, I'm going side to side. So that means that the A is going to go underneath the X. So this is going to be 25, and this is going to be 16. And then I'm done. All right, so if you're still struggling with these, definitely, ask me some questions in class. Come to me during academy time. Try and give these practice. I'll see if I can't come up with another way to do this as well, if you're still struggling. So let me know. Hopefully this helped.